Hello, good people, and welcome to my wonderful YouTube channel where I get to talk about whatever the heck I want. I am playing Arkham City as Batman because apparently you can interchange between Batman and Catwoman at some point, but I'm using Batman as the Dark Knight Returns suit. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. My point is I'm going to be talking about Batman v Superman that I have just seen for the second time. Okay, I liked it. I really, genuinely enjoyed the movie. Now, it was not perfect. It was not perfect. There were a lot of parts that bored me. There were a lot of parts I wanted to fall asleep. A lot of parts that were confusing to me. And I took a few notes while I was in the film, but not too many to where people were like, "Hey, calm down, kid. Leave me up, shut up, we're trying to watch a movie." But no. I took a few notes on my thoughts on Batman. I think Ben Affleck did a fantastic job as Batman. I think he was spot on. They didn't make him do his version of Batman, they just made him do Batman. He was just freaking great as Bruce Wayne, great as Batman, all around. I mean, not all around. The only, I guess, major issue I could say was the fact that he was not a very good ladies' man. No, he wasn't. He didn't have much swag, or at least that wasn't portrayed very well. Like, whenever he was. By the way, this is a heavily spoiler. I know it's in the title. But this, I'm just saying. No, this is a heavily spoiler-filled video. Okay. The part when he was looking for this file in Lex Luthor's LexCorp. I couldn't cough away from the mic. Sorry. He tried to decrypt his files, and he got caught by Marcy. And he was like, she was like, "Oh, can I help you, Mr. Wayne?" And he was like, "Oh, I thought the bathroom was down here." And he was like, "I couldn't." He's like, "I guess that last martini was, it was too many." And then she was like, "You need to leave or something." And he was like, "All right, hey, I like those shoes." I was like, "Oh, really? That's really awkward sounding." No, he was just really awkward when it comes to being smooth. But I was okay with that because he was Batman for 20 years. According to the film, he was Batman for 20 years. So it would be kind of weird if he was a ladies' man because he was like super old. So I guess I was okay with that. I really liked the voice changer, the voice adaptation idea because, it wasn't super obvious. Like whenever they showed him at the end, he was fighting Superman, and not at the end, but you know what I mean. He was fighting him, and he actually got his face mask ripped up a lot by Superman's punch. As he still wasn't completely recognizable as Bruce Wayne. He wasn't super. You couldn't really tell who it was, even though he had his entire jawline exposed and his mouth and like the whole left side of his face almost. You couldn't really tell it was Ben Affleck or Bruce Wayne. So that went well. I'm glad the voice changer was pretty cool. It wasn't too obnoxious because they didn't make Batman say too much. They didn't make Batman say a whole lot. But yeah, I think Ben Affleck did. There we go. Moving my mouth away from the mic that time. I think Ben Affleck did a really good job playing Batman. Now, Superman, however, I think he's gotten a lot better since Man of Steel. He's gotten a lot more convincing as Superman. Like before, he just felt like an alien. He just felt like a random guy with superpowers that ended up finding out that he had some kind of authority. He's like, oh, you can go to the sun. In Man of Steel, Jor-El was like, oh, you can, being in the solar radiation of planet closer to the sun just makes you super strong and stuff. I just didn't. Superman was a lot more like super. I don't know. I don't know exactly what was better about him, but he's gotten better since Man of Steel as Superman. I'm not a huge fan of Superman in general, so I don't have much to say about him. But he was very convincing as Superman this time. I believe he's going to be better as Superman in future films. And I believe that, he's definitely, yeah. Now, Lex Luthor. I think Lex Luthor was, how can I put this? It took a while for me to warm up to him. I didn't like him much the first time I viewed the movie. But the second time I watched it today, it was I ended up trying to see things his way. I ended up trying to view things through his eyes. I ended up trying to accept the fact that he had a whole bunch of hair and that he was like 21 years old looking, and then I enjoyed it. I really was okay with his Lex Luthor. I really was. I was okay with it. I was convinced. I was convinced that he was Lex Luthor by the end of the film. Of my second, or even at my first viewing, I was convinced that he was Lex Luthor just because he hasn't been the supervillain Lex Luthor for a long time. Now, I say that as an excuse to say he was not very. I mean, Lex Luthor is insane, but Lex Luthor that I know is confident in his insanity. He's 100%. He's 100% convinced in his insanity. Now, this Lex Luthor was kind of insecure, very very unsure about his insanity. He couldn't really. It seems like he was having trouble figuring himself out as a supervillain. It seems like he was having trouble. Standing still. Like he was really jittery and really just. I don't know. He was like, really really fidgety. It's just weird. I don't know. It wasn't like any Lex Luthor I've seen before, but it wasn't super fantastic. But I did end up believing that he was just as dangerous as Lex Luthor that I know from, Superman the Animated Series and the Justice League series. I ended up believing he was just as dangerous because of how insane he was and because of how little grip he had on his insanity. So I really enjoyed Jesse Eisenberg's performance of Lex Luthor. Okay, now this is something I've been wanting to talk about. Okay, I'm gonna compose myself. Okay, freaking Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman was immaculate. Immaculate. I don't know how to spell it, but yes, she was absolutely perfect to me. She was just charming and lovable, and she was just mysterious and cool, and then she shows up and she fights and she's really strong and she doesn't even, she gets hit a couple times, but she was nothing. Like, it didn't even faze her. Like, it was no big deal. Like, she was kicking Doomsday's booty like to the 9th degree. She was beating his butt. She was fighting Doomsday alone for a long time. she was just so bad, man. I mean, bad in a good way. I mean, good in a bad way. I mean, great. She was just great. I don't even know what I'm saying. I absolutely love her. I mean, even just listening to Gal Gadot, I think that's how you say it, Gal Gadot's voice, listening to her talk in interviews and stuff. She has a really heavy accent from wherever she's from. But she nailed the voice. I'm a sucker for voices when it comes to voice acting or whatever the case may be, whether it be real acting or whatever. Voices really impact me. She has the perfect voice. I think that's the main thing that captivated me, was just how incredible her voice was. Like, just her war cries, like whenever she's like charging at Doomsday, and she's just like, yeah, and I was like, ah! it was just amazing. Her performance was amazing. Her portrayal just made me want to just. And whenever I first saw her and Superman and Batman all fighting Doomsday, I actually started to cry because of how cool it was. I mean, no kidding. But yeah, Wonder Woman was so awesome. Just so awesome. I'm going to talk about Doomsday. I didn't really like Doomsday. He just looked like a baby. He just looked like a big old ugly baby that was fighting Superman, and I was like, hey, why is that big old ugly baby fighting Superman and winning? I don't get it. I don't know. I mean, he started off just looking like a big old pile of sludge, just a big old fat blubby glubby thing, and then gets hit by this nuke that Superman basically helps Superman fights him. And like freaking carries him up into space, and they're like, he's out of. We can nuke him now. If we nuke him now, we won't kill any civilians or whatever. So they shoot a nuke at Doomsday in the air, and at Superman, and Superman gets hurt, and Doomsday gets hurt, and Doomsday just he gets knocked on the ground, and he just like shakes it off, and then all his bones pop out and stuff, to where he actually looks like the real Doomsday, but still with a baby face. So he's like a big, ugly, muggly baby with bones sticking out of his arms and legs and back and stuff. I just didn't like the way he looked. And I didn't like the way he sounded. I didn't like the way I don't know. He had a strong first impression though, whenever he first broke out of his shell and started fighting Superman. And that was cool. That was a cool sequence. But other than that, I didn't see Doomsday as super great. Oh, that guy was just doing push-ups. I'm gonna leave him alone. Doomsday. What else do I have on here? I didn't like the fact that he had Kryptonian heritage, or that he was Kryptonian. I didn't like that he was freaking General Zod. I didn't like that, but I tolerated it because I thought, well, if I'm in a crazy. No, it's not. Because I ended up remembering, hey, if it wasn't General Zod, if they actually went with the Doomsday story, the movie would have had to been at least another 30 minutes longer. Trying to portray the message of Doomsday coming to Earth in a ship and landing underground like 1,000 years ago, and then Lex Luthor finding him. That would have just been just too long of a story, I guess. And then Lex Luthor finding him, and this alien would have a hologram warning them of how powerful Doomsday is, and that would just been too long of a story. Are those guys with guns? Nope. Okay, I can fight them. I fought those guys already. Oh well. Looking at my little list of things that I wanted to talk about the movie. The Justice League cameos. I enjoyed them. I enjoyed the little sequence of Wonder Woman looking through the files and seeing the seeing the Flash and Aquaman and Cyborg. That's who the guy with the missing legs was. That was a Cyborg. I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed seeing Aquaman. I was completely okay with the fact that he had no lines at all. Like, I'm just completely okay with that, because that would have taken away from the magic of Wonder Woman. It would have taken away from that. So I'm glad that they didn't have anything to say. They were just it was just files of stuff that they did at one random time. But yeah, I'm really excited to see. I haven't been researching the future movies, so I don't know who the seventh person is. But I'm guessing it's confirmed that it's Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, The Flash, and Cyborg. But no, I haven't heard anything about a seventh Justice League member. I'm hoping it's Martian Manhunter, or oh man, I wish Martian Manhunter was in there, or even Hawkgirl. I wish Hawkgirl they would bring her in at some point. But it's most likely, I'm guessing it's going to be Green Lantern, because he's a more well-known character than the other two. But I think it should be John Stewart. I think they should get like a John Stewart Green Lantern instead of a Hal Jordan Green Lantern, because we've had Hal Jordan Green Lantern and it didn't go very well. Just leave it at that. Okay, let me see. The beginning was good. It kind of captivated me, but the film in itself was not. I enjoyed the fact that it was not an origin story. I was okay with that. I was okay with the fact that it wasn't, we're rebooting the Batman franchise, so we have to tell you exactly who Batman is. No, everybody knows who Batman is. Everybody knows who Batman is. You don't have to tell us. Like with Spider-Man, we all know who Spider-Man is, but anyway, that's a whole nother story. We all know who Batman is, and they know that we know who Batman is, so that's what they went with. They went with a 20-year-old Batman, meaning he was Batman for 20 years. So all they did in the beginning was they showed the sequence of Bruce Wayne's parents getting shot and him running to this forest and then falling into the Batcave and then being levitated out of there like a freaking power metal music video. You had to be lifted up out of the cave by the bats with magic and sorcery. But yeah, the beginning was good. They didn't even show that they actually went so slowly with the they only showed the companies like DC and whatever, Warner Brothers. They only showed those for like a split second, because that made me think that the movie was a trailer. Like the beginning of the movie, that made me think it was a commercial, just because of how quickly those things went away. So the beginning was good. They didn't waste any crap. Gosh darn it! Shoot! Dang! Gosh darn it! Shoot! Son of a gun! Hang on a second. Yeah, they didn't waste any time. They told the story they wanted to tell, and I think they started off really well. However, the plot, this is the next thing I'm going to talk about. The plot was not strong to me. It was not very gripping or engaging. To me personally, it didn't feel like anything mattered. It felt like they spent so much time hyping up the fight between Batman and Superman that you didn't have time to care about anything. I felt like there's some parts whenever you see Batman fighting some guys, you're like, oh, this is awesome. But then you're like, wait, what's going on? You're like, wait, why is he here? Why is he fighting those guys in the desert? And then why is he freaking shooting at people in the desert? And I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk all about that. Yeah, it was just very dull feeling in the beginning. It just didn't feel like anything mattered. You didn't have time to connect with people because they're like, Batman, Bruce Wayne's parents, and at some point you have like Superman's dad comes back in like a dream or something, and you're like, he ends up talking about something. And he's like, basically he tells the story to Superman, basically that I said basically a lot, that doing heroic acts can sometimes affect things in ways you weren't expecting. And that's what he was talking about with Superman. It was just weird. It just felt so jam-packed with material and so many people's opinions and just so much stuff that they didn't really have time to make you care about anything. Like, the special effects. Honestly, I think a lot of the special effects were good, but not great. A couple of moments that stood out to me was when they had this montage of Superman saving people's lives and stuff, and showing they were talking about how power and God and superhumans and we don't matter in the world because of Superman. That sequence of Superman doing stuff when he caught the rocket. I mean, whenever the thing exploded and he was just talking. He just caught like the top of the rocket and he landed. When he landed, it just looked really, really, really fake. And another part when Batman was fighting Superman and was kicking his butt. Well, because of the kryptonite, but whatever. I'm not gonna go into that. I don't really care. I just love seeing Superman get his butt handed into him by Batman. It was great. Anyway, Superman. I forgot what I was talking about. Superman was doing something with the thing. Shoot. Okay, Batman. Yeah, the special effects. Yeah, okay. Batman threw Superman to the ground below them, and when he grappled down to them and he landed, it looked really, 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 really fake. It looked so super amateur cartoon looking. It was bad. And Doomsday, don't even get me started on that. When Doomsday came into play, it was just a freaking computer-generated image madness film. It was just complete CGI, complete ultimate, utter just chaos with the CGI. It was just crazy. Oh, man. A lot of that was just completely over the top and did not work for me. But the action in general was good. The action was very good. Batman's normal, not even his hyped up bat suit, the one that he fought Superman with, his regular bat suit was apparently knife proof and bulletproof. It looked like he was a couple of people couldn't cut through his arm plates, or even the back of his neck. That like somebody tried to cut the back of his neck, and it just and it didn't work. It just like slinked off of it, and somebody came to the back of his head and shot him in the back of the head twice with a pistol, and it didn't do anything. It just bounced off the back of his head. So Batman started playing it smart by not, having a latex bat suit like this. I mean, not latex, obviously, but spandex. I guess that's the word I was looking for. The action was great. I mean, like I said, aside from the special effects, the action was really, really cool. As I explained earlier, I began to cry at the last scene where they're fighting Doomsday. I didn't like the ending, though. I didn't like the ending. I didn't like the part where Lex Luthor apparently Lex Luthor lost it. Lex Luthor completely went off the rails. And I didn't like that. I didn't understand why he was going crazy. I didn't know what he was talking about whenever he was like, it's the freaking bat. He's like, oh, he's the bells are rung and he's coming for us, and he's hungry and he's gonna come and eat us all because he's hungry and food and stuff. I don't know. It just didn't make any sense to me. That's really the end of my spoiler discussion. But I have a couple of things that I pointed out in the film, that I noted down in my film. That's what I mentioned at the beginning. I took down a couple of things that I had to bring up for this special video. While decrypting the dream, I'm going to explain this. While encrypting the dream, while encrypting the file that Catwoman, oh my gosh, what is going on? While decrypting the file that Wonder Woman took from him, and he got it back, and he started decrypting the file, he fell asleep. I'm going to explain this. When he fell asleep, he had a dream of another universe. In this other universe, Batman himself was, in fact, a murderer, and I'm not going to get shot by this fool. I'm going to run away, because I've been in this part of the city for a long time, and I've been flying in circles. Yeah, he was having a dream that he was shooting fools in the desert, and he was trying, what he was trying to do, stay with me, he was trying to get kryptonite to kill Superman. And as the dream went on, actually, let me digress for a second. The alternate universe I was referring to, in that universe, the Joker took control of Superman's mind and made him kill Lois Lane. When Superman, because the Joker made Superman think that Lois Lane, who by the way was pregnant with his unborn son or daughter, whatever, kid, was Doomsday. The Joker manipulated Superman's mind, making him think that Lois Lane was Doomsday, and he killed her. Man, yeah, that's crazy. I wouldn't want that to happen ever. So after he did that, after the Joker did that, the Joker ended up setting off a bomb that killed like millions of people. If you've played the Injustice video game, you know what I'm talking about. That's the alternate universe I'm talking about. That's the alternate universe that it's talking about in that film. Superman ended up killing the Joker, and he actually ended up going back and meeting Lex Luthor and killing Lex Luthor in that universe. And eventually he ends up destroying the entire, no, not destroying the entire Earth, but taking over, I can't think of the word. He ended up taking over the Earth as Emperor Superman. I'm still talking about the alternate universe. So, whenever Superman, I'm going back to the film now, whenever Superman he caught Batman trying to find some kryptonite, he found Batman, and he burned the two guys next to him, and he went to him and he was like, she was everything I had, Bruce, or something like that. Something like that. He was like, she was my world, or something like that. And oh man, that's what he was talking about. He was talking about the fact that the Joker made him kill Lois Lane, and Batman was trying to stop Superman because of how evil he became after killing the Joker. Gosh darn it. Me and my stealth skills. Goodness gracious. So yeah, that explains that, but I'm going to go ahead and keep going into the film whenever Bruce Wayne was encountered by a a man in a metallic looking suit in a portal looking thing. That was the Flash. That was the Flash who, all right, stay with me now. The Flash came to Bruce Wayne in our universe. He came to our Bruce Wayne in a dream.